Hey guys, it's Dawn again, and the sad saga of sanding has started up again. I'm out here in the garage, and I have turned my attention to my orange peel primer. I have sanded a fair amount with some 400 grit stuck on my orbital sander, and I've got most of the passenger side done, most of the hood done. The hoods, I'm working on it standing up. I'm gonna lay it down today and kind of tail that thing off. Now you might be wondering why I'm not laying it on my carpenter's table or my little portable table. And that would be because that table is up in Seattle on the boat. So yeah, I'm gonna tear into it here and get busy back on this project. All right, well, if you're still with me, that only took a few minutes, right? Once we speed everything up to about 4 times normal or worse, I've got the tub pretty much done. I just blew it off with the air hose. I can still see a few spots where I think I'll need to address a few little places, but for the most part, the bulk of it is done. And I've got to do up at the top of the cowl, and then I've got my extra parts laying around. I have one fender to do, the windshield frame, and the grill. I don't know how the grill will be, and the tailgate was what I sprayed with that first batch primer. So it's smooth, but it probably needs to be roughed up for the paint to grip it. So I have to do that as well. However, as usual, it's dinner time, and I'm gonna go grab me something to eat and probably close up the shop for tonight. But yeah, I'm making progress, so I think salvageable is the word of the day. Salvageable. It's a Friday, and I am done sanding on this Jeep. Now, is the Jeep done perfectly sanded? For hell's sake, man, at this point, I do not know. But I know I'm done sanding it. So I have sanded everything, the dash, the windshield frame, the grill, the glove box cover, the loose fender, the tailgate, all that stuff, the hood, all the tub. I even started obsessing over my Jeep letters again for a minute until I kind of slapped myself and was like, just leave it. So here's the plan. I've come to the realization that I do not need to paint this entire thing in one fell swoop. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, given that my first pass at this was a little bit rocky, is I'm going to mix me up a small little, like a shot glass full of paint. And carefully read the instructions and mix it well before I mix it with the hardener and all that stuff. And before I do any of that tonight, I'm going to go upstairs and watch a couple more of those videos that I watched on the basics of laying down your base coat and your clear coat. And I'm going to do the dash. And if the dash goes great, I'm going to do maybe the tailgate and the glove box cover. And then I might stop right there. And, well, I will stop and assess how we're doing. We'll either have this nailed and I'll be figuring it out. Maybe I'll have to make a couple of adjustments, but I'll be starting to get a handle on it. Or I will put my hands up in defeat, throw the white flag out, and put all this stuff in some semblance of order where I can drag it off to a body shop and have somebody paint it for me. But I'm not going to do that. Let's face it, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to figure this out, right? So I'm going to figure this out. I'm not taking this thing to a body shop and having it painted unless I just can't get to the bottom of this, but I think I can. So that's tomorrow's business. I think I'm all ready to go. I have blown the garage out. I've taken the acetone to a bunch of stuff. I'll give it another pass in the morning. I may turn the hose on the garage floor and kind of wash it down, get all the dust out of here. I'll run my plastic down the sides and across the back and fire this paint booth up, and we'll try it again. But again, what I've learned my lesson is I don't have to do it all at once. So I'm going to do it in a little increment, and we'll see how it goes. So join me tomorrow morning and let's see how it goes. All right, guys. Well, it's that day that I've been looking forward to with equal parts excitement and trepidation. It's painting day. So can't put it off any longer. Not that I want to put it off. I'm just a little nervous. I'll just tell you, I'm a little nervous about this. So let me just give you a quick where we're at with everything, because I didn't record this at 3 in the morning when I was going through it, but I literally was awake at 3 in the morning, laying in bed. First of all, just going, maybe I should just go start now because I can't sleep because I'm all worried about this. So here's where we're at. I kind of have my paint booth walls out. I have not run this one all the way forward over here on the north side of the garage just for space reasons. But I'm going to start with the dash. Remember I told you I was going to start with the dash? Well, I have the dash laying up here in the Jeep, and last night at 3 o'clock, all this stuff I'm going to tell you, most of it all came about from about 3 o'clock. I was like, Don, that's not going to work. You can't lay that up inside of the Jeep and be spraying around in there. You're going to have overspray getting on everything else, which is dry and, you know, making dust and all that. So I had the brilliant idea of taking a bunch of my empty primer cans that I've emptied out, because I've emptied out several cans of primer and sealer, and I'm going to come over here on the south side and move the ladder, and I'm going to put some more paper down, and I'm going to set the dash down there on top of those cans. I rescued a couple of those cans out of the recycle bin. I'm going to use those to prop it up off the floor, so I can paint my dash with it laying flat over there. I'm going to tape some paper up on the door, just a spot there, so I can test my gun there, make sure that my fan's working okay. And I also am not going to paint the hood with it laying or standing upright. I want it laying down. And my little table that I had it on before is up on the boat. So I think what I'm going to do, I have a 5-gallon bucket here. I'm going to put it on the bucket. And actually, I think I have a couple of buckets. So I'm going to have it up just off of 5-gallon buckets off the floor. And it's going to be a little tight in here, I think, by the time I get it laid down. But you kind of see, I mean, you know, there's not oodles of space in here. So I've kind of got everything situated. Windshield frame kind of leaning up against the tire here. I got the fender here. Got my bolts, you know, I'm trying to paint the bolts. I got the tailgate up there on the front of the frame rails with paper all around, so I can't get on everything. So it's not the handy dandiest layout here, but I think it's going to work. So I have the garage door raised up just enough to get my fan to blow out of there. I have moved the truck and the car both out of the driveway, so I'm not blowing overspray right on them. I have my paint here. Got my clear coat and my hardener. I'm going to try putting one of the GoPros on my noggin while I start this to see how that works. There's nothing else for it at this point except to just start tearing into this thing. So I'm going to situate the dash and the hood, and then when I'm all good to go there, then I will put on my Tyvek suit and my stuff and start doing this. So I'll show you. I'm gonna set you down because I get cameras all situated, not where I want them right now, but I'm just gonna do what I just said, then I'll show you that I'm ready to go and we'll tear into it. Okay, so here's the hood, and had a little flash of brilliance there. Every now and then that happens. I put a bucket and one of my camping containers but I put them on my little appliance dollies so I can swing the thing around, roll it around if I need to, or after I get it painted, I can push it out of the way a little bit, give myself some room, and then move it back. And come over here, there's my dash sitting up on the paint cans. So there's my target on the garage door. I can't tell you, I can take credit for all these ideas. Having a place to spray your fan, everybody does that. A lot of guys just can do it on, they've covered the whole thing in paint or in plastic and so they do it on there or whatever, but that's not my idea. I stole that from everybody else. Putting the dash up on the paint cans, that is my own 3 o'clock in the morning flash of brilliance, as is the hood situation here, where I can roll that thing around. So I'll take credit where credit's due. I have put gloves on so that I don't get any fingerprints on anything, and I'm gonna grab one more of my tack cloths. I have some tack cloths that I got from Eastwood. I'm gonna grab one of those, lightly dust everything down, and then crack open these cans of paint and start reading instructions and so forth and getting ready to mix up some paint and see what happens. I got to fire the compressor up. I seem to have a little bit of a leak over here somewhere going into the kind of the manifold thing on there. So it bleeds down to about, actually this time it bled down to 0. So gonna have to fix that at some point. But so the compressor's dry, we got to fire that thing up, and I got to get my water separator back in line there, which is easy because I'll just take my one yellow hose here. Remember, we hooked this all up, so I can just put that yellow hose into one of my outlets, put my outlet hose into here, and there's my water separator right there. So I'll run this at full boat, and I'll turn my pressure down with my regulator that is on my gun. And if you recall, I started out with the digital one and I went analog because I wasn't sure enough about what I was doing to do the digital one. It just didn't seem to be doing the job right. So anyway, I think what I'll do is I'll get all that stuff done, check in with you one more time, then load up some fresh batteries in the camera here and tear into it. right, well, that went pretty darn well, I think. I'm getting the hang of it. A couple things to note. One, you sure don't want to be doing this on your garage floor because it's a real pain in the butt to be dragging your hose around. I think I touched the side of the hood over there and might have touched something that was wet over there with the hose. So if I had to do this all over again, I'd sure make sure I had my little table here. Second of all, I used kind of the smaller mixing cup. I'm doing about 4 ounces probably in there. On the 4-to-1 ratio, I'm going up to the 4 and then 1 to the hardener. I'm not sure if that's ounces or whatever, but I can fit more than that in my cup on my gun. So for this next coat, I'm gonna graduate up to a little bit bigger mixing cup there so I can mix a bigger batch because I was having to stop a lot to remix, makes more stuff. I can see a few stretch marks, I'd call them, where uneven distribution of my paint has occurred. Hopefully that second coat will take care of that. And now knowing kind of how long a can lasts, I think I can figure out how to do that a little smoother. I think what I'll do this next round is I'm going to leave the hood flashing over here for a while. I'm going to move this grill out of the way over here and just concentrate on the tub itself for a bit. Get that second coat on there and make sure that I don't have any of those kind of thin places. But overall, I think that was a success. So it really looks black. It was not meant to be black. It's black cherry with metallic undertones. So I'm hoping that once we get a second coat on there and get it out in the sunlight, it'll be a little more cherry of the black cherry. But I think I did all right for my first pass at painting. It's not as hard as it seems when you're laying awake at 3 in the morning. It's not that bad. So I don't know how much of it we got filmed. That head thing for the GoPro was a colossal pain in the butt. It kept coming down in front of my eyes, so I gave up on that. And I had the camera sitting over here, this other one kind of doing a time lapse. And so I probably got part of it, but not much of it. So when I get this second coat on, we'll get the light and we'll have a walk all around the thing, make sure we're all good. But I'm gonna let it sit for a few more minutes and kind of do that flashy thing, and then we'll start in on the second batch. Okay, well, a couple more things to report. Number one, for some reason I totally forgot to use my filters when pouring the paint into the gun. Now I didn't notice any problems at all the first pass around, but I decided rather than to let that hood wait again, I thought I'd just give it another coat. Because I had to do one more coat on the windshield frame, so I mixed up one more little batch. And as I was doing the hood, the gun was cutting out, like, you know, I'd get a spot where it wouldn't be spraying any paint, and the light bulb went off. I was like, hey, dummy, you forgot to use the little filter. Probably getting some stuff in there. So I ran that batch out, I stopped, I cleaned my gun all out, cleaned everything up. Like I said, I'm gonna switch to a different cup so I can do a bigger batch. I probably am gonna throw one more coat on that tub, or on that hood, just because I can see one spot on the corner on the other side there where I kind of am thin, and then I still think I can kind of see my stroke marks. So I've been going front to back, lengthwise along the hood. I think this time I'll go side to side and see if I can't kind of get rid of those. But the second thing I'll tell you is, so I forgot use my filters. The second thing is I took my gloves off before I started cleaning everything up. That was a mistake, even though they were just sopping wet inside from sweat. And by the way, if you're gonna do this in your Tyvek suit, stay hydrated because you're gonna sweat your brains out. But I took my gloves off And A, it's messy. I've washed my hands a couple times and I think I got all the paint and acetone off, but it's really messy, so don't take your gloves off. B, don't take your gloves off, because if you have even the tiniest little cut in your finger, which I have a little cut on one of my fingers just from snipping myself with the scissors, when you get acetone in a little cut, let me just tell you, that'll wake you right up. So that burns like an SOB. So don't do that. Leave your gloves on. So I'm going to graduate up to a bigger cup. I'm going to lay down one more pass across my hood, again going the other direction, and then I will go back around the tub, and then I'll do all my parts and pieces on the floor. Then I think that'll be 2 coats on everything, 3 on the tub or on the hood. Gosh, I keep saying the tub, the hood. This big flat thing that goes over the motor, the hood. So I'll have. All right, well now I can't remember what I was telling you before the compressor kicked on. Anyway, one more coat on the hood going the other direction. One more pass around all the tub, another shot on all my pieces and parts. And I think we'll be at the point where we'll be ready for another gun cleaning and move on to our clear coat. Now I did read about the clear coat, it says up to 18 hours you can go before you have to sand again. So I'm not going to get in too big of a rush. I think this is going at a decent pace. It's like 10 o'clock. I've probably been going for an hour and a half. So this is going all right. Not panicking. Everything's going fine. We'll see again the harsh light of day once we get all this out in the sunlight. We'll see if I did a good job, but I think we're doing all right. The flies are digging this paint though, I'll tell you. I don't know what it is. I set the acetone can bucket that I've been cleaning stuff in back outside to see if it was the acetone that they're attracted to. But yeah, I got the garage door open, just a bit there, and then I'll turn my fan back on. That fan's not helping all that much. Maybe it is. A lot of overspray on the floor. I'm glad I've got my paint walls up here because my tool bench and everything would be just covered. I do have all the important stuff covered. I think I got everything under control. So yeah, let's continue on. Again, well, I'll set the time lapse camera up maybe on that side for a while now and let you watch me over there. We'll see how we do. So stick with me. We're getting this job done. Okay, one more thing real quick. Remember how I said I had this valve, so I'd stick it in here just because I didn't know any better? Well, this is longer than it needs to be, and it's a pain when I'm working close to the ground. So I'm going to take this valve thing off of here and get rid of it and shorten this up as much as I can so when I'm down spraying close to the ground I'm not fighting the hose so much. So gonna do that. All right, welcome back guys. It's just me and the flies out here in the garage now. I don't know what it is that's attracting them so much. Maybe it's the sweat that's pouring off of me, but maybe it's the acetone or the paint or something. It smells a little sweet. Anyway, everything's painted. Well, I think I'm all right. I can still swear I can see a few kind of crosshatch marks where on the hood, for instance, I was going one direction and the other. But I got no one to really sanity check this thing for me. So what I'm going to have to do is just carry on, assuming that the clear coat's now going to kind of sort that out a little. So what I'm going to do is I think we've flashed long enough for everything. So I think before it gets too much hotter and the sun gets beaten right in the door here, I'm going to go ahead and get on this clear coat, see if I can get that sprayed out and be done with this thing so I can take a shower and clean off and get all this sweat off me from being in that Tyvek suit. That thing is just roast your brains out. So anyway, I'm going to check out my clear coat stuff now and see what the ratio for that is. And I have a 1.3 nozzle in my gun. I have a different nozzle in my box. I'm going to pull that out and see what that is. And I might go see what the recommendation was on whether I should be the same size gun or nozzle or a different size for the clear coat. But I kind of think probably the same size would be fine. So anyway, yeah, boy, in the garage here, this thing just looks black. But we'll get it out in the sunlight and see. Hopefully it's black cherry. If not, then I got a black Jeep. And I wasn't really planning on having a black Jeep. But that's what it is. So anyway, let's see what happens when we spray some clear coat. All right, guys. Well, hopefully the fireworks are not going to be too crazy. We're coming up on the 4th of July weekend and starting to bang them off out there. So I kind of gave up on trying to film much of this. Sorry, but you know, you can't paint and film. I mean, everybody that I've been watching, obviously they had somebody helping them. But I did, you know, lay down a second coat, or my clear coat. There's a dog hair in the paint or in the stuff. So I think it's gonna be all right. And if you look really close, I can see the metal in the black cherry. So it's a little better. The clear coat went all right. It's the same 4-to-1 ratio as the other stuff. So, you know, I was able to get around and do a couple of coats of that. I have a sag on the corner back here. And I got a big old run over here. I saw it happen. I don't know if you can see it, but let's see if we can get the light down it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. But anyway, it's a hellacious run. And I saw it coming. I don't know what I did. I obviously got too close with the gun, and I just saw the whole clear coat kind of foam up there or whatever, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. So I left it, and I looked back in a minute, and it was running down there. So bad news, yeah. But I got the hood looking pretty darn good, I think. Again, you know, we'll see how all this looks in the light of day. There's a spot right here on the hood where either myself or the gun was dripping. It started dripping some water out there. I think it might have been the gun, but I was sweating like a pig, so it might have been me. So a big old drop of water landed on the thing right in the middle of what I was doing there. I had a piece or two of cotton off the cottonwoods blow in. You know, I get why the professionals do this in a paint booth, all carefully controlled. So here's my thoughts. I think until I can actually see this in the light of day, I'm going to have to assume that, you know, we're probably okay, and this is going to be a serviceable paint job. Again, just looking, you know, from the high level overview here, it looks all right. The garage is a complete mess. I was a mess. Everything was filthy. So I got it done, and for better or for worse, it's done. So what I'm going to do is my office is open tomorrow, so I'm going into work, and then tomorrow night, I think what I'll do is I'm just going to let this all sit for now, and then tomorrow I'll come in and I'm going to take the masking down off of everything to see what we got, to start to get a better view of it. And I'm going to pick all my stuff up off the ground and get it up in the Jeep or someplace off the ground. I'm going to probably pull my plastic back here, and for now I'm going to leave it hung, but it served its purpose, and I think we can pretty much say our paint booth can be disassembled too pretty quick here. But I'll leave it up just because obviously now it did say, you know, okay, if you're going to put additional coats over the clear coat, then you want to let it really dry and sand the clear coat a little bit. Well, you know, some real high grit stuff. Obviously, I got a spot or two where I'm going to have to sand it with some lower grit stuff, get rid of those droops and sags and water droplets, but hopefully those will be all right to fix up. There's gonna have to be. So I'm gonna sand that one first. Maybe I'll do that one on the corner first and kind of educate myself. Whatever, I gotta fix that one anyway. I'll sand it out. I'll brush over my water spot over there. That corner, I'll mix me up a little spot of hardener or clear coat and hopefully blend it back in. And hopefully that'll be what we need to do. I've said hopefully about 87 times, haven't I? Because you know what, that's all I'm doing is hoping this is going to be all right, because I do not know for sure. But I think it looks pretty good. Now, you know, when I'm looking down on the hood, I can't really tell. I mean, I got, you know, just fluorescent lights on 1 and 2, and so I got a horrible lighting situation here. So it's not really at the time to decide if I was totally successful or not, because what I really need to be able to do is kind of unmask everything and get everything straightened out and get the garage door open and get the full light of day in on this thing. But for now, I'm going to wrap this up, and you'll just have to come back and see how it looks once we get her out in the light of day, get some sunlight on this thing, see what it looks like. So I'm gonna leave it here. Next time around, I'll fix up the stuff that I goofed up, and hopefully that goes okay, and then we will be done with our paint process. And you know, if, like I said, if it was looking at, I mean, I'm sure, you know, we were probably talking 5 to 10 grand if I were to take this, all these pieces and parts, into a paint shop and say, hey, can you paint all this stuff for me? I don't know, but I gotta believe it would be at least several $1,000s. So when I look at it that way, job well done. I got the job done and saved the money. And if it all turns out wonderful, then dang, I got some pride in the situation as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry the head thing didn't work. I think one of my GoPros is actually dying. You know, I've had those things, I've put them through hell. So I've had them for a long time and I've abused them. I think one of them's on its last legs. So I didn't really do a great job of filming this. I was kind of hoping that, you know, we'd have the one up here on my head, at least you'd be able to see me start to get that first coat laid down. But this was not to be. So, you know, a few little challenges, but there we go. So yeah, come back next time around. We'll really get critical at this thing, and I will get it all lit up with the sun on it, and we'll get intimate with this paint job, see how it looks, and you'll find out as well as I will whether I passed as a amateur painter or not.